I'm Rich Carroll. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow you. And then there were 6. Palm Coast mayoral candidate Kevin Sachowski dropped out of the race on Thursday, just 2 days after the deadline to apply. It caused quite a scramble for Katie Lenhart, who's the supervisor of elections in Flagler County.
It was a rush to contact the ballot printing vendor. I was really concerned that the ballots had already been printed, and in that case, we had a couple options, either reprint, which is costly, or insert a notice to voters in all the vote-by-mail envelopes for those ballots going out by mail, and also in all the booths. So either way would have been costly.
Luckily, they got to the ballot printing company in time before they'd begun printing any ballots.
It worked out fine, actually. We were able to redesign the ballot without his name, so that way no voter confusion. It won't have anyone on the ballot who's not actually going to be running. So that's always a good thing.
The 6 candidates on the ballot will be David Alphin, Alan Lowe, Kathy Ostrino, Carol Baca, Doug Courtney, and Cornelia Downing-Manfrey. Voters in Palm Coast head to the polls for a special election on July 27th to replace Mayor Melissa Holland, who resigned. Flagler County Sheriff is calling on county commissioners to enact tougher restrictions on convicted sex offenders. Karen Johnson reports.
Sheriff Rick Staley recently addressed the weaknesses he found in local ordinances governing where certain sex offenders and predators may live in Flagler County. He spoke to the Flagler County Board of Commissioners meeting to also upgrade places where predators aren't welcome so children are protected.
To stay away from libraries, open spaces and facilities where children participate in events, and bus stops.
Sheriff Staley wrote a letter recently to the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners to do more than the minimum to keep our children safe. Sheriff Staley has also asked the city of Palm Coast to amend their ordinance to match the county's and add the additional prohibitions. Currently, there are 124 sex offenders and 3 predators living within Flagler County. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Karen Johnson.
Will parking remain free in Flagler Beach? Amy Cherry has more.
Over the years, there's been talk about raising revenue by charging everyone or just out-of-towners to park. New city manager William Whitson called it a possibility, but not the first step the city should take. Whitson instead called for a calculated, data-driven decision on parking issues.
There's limited space. You have to understand that going in. And we need to make sure people don't park on the dunes. That's one of the big issues that we've got to solve first. And then once we get past that and we can take a look at the inventory, I don't think we start right away with putting up parking meters.
Hear our full interview with Whitson on the Free for All Friday podcast, available on the Flagler radio app. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Amy Cherry.
An ongoing initiative will continue this weekend to try and spruce up Flagler Beach. John Arking has the story.
Flagler Beach City Commissioner Ken Bryan says that when he first came on board with the city, he learned that the grounds department had been eliminated during the Great Recession in the late 2000s. So he and his wife and others decided to just roll up their sleeves and get things done, forming a community cleanup group. They'll again be focusing Saturday on cleaning up Veterans Park. Bryan also says another area they'd like to spruce up are all the temporary signs that have sprouted up in Flagler Beach.
The sales signs, 50% off, and these kinds of things here. And that's not appropriate for our city, and it's against our codes as well. So talking to our city manager and some of the other commissioners that brought it up as well, we're going to start enforcing the sign ordinances to make sure that the temporary signs that pop up are just not going to be there. Because in my opinion, when you come over the bridge and you see that kind of thing, and I don't want to, demonize any other towns in the way that they do things, that we don't want Flagler Beach looking, cheap like that. And I don't think it's cheap looking. Put up a permanent sign, put up nice signs, and then conduct your business accordingly.
Bryan says he's focusing on those temporary signs that are outside of the city's ordinances. As for the cleanup events, he says they are great opportunities for residents to get out and meet their neighbors, and he hopes to see residents pitching in and doing their part. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm John Arking.
How have students in Flagler County schools made it through the pandemic so far?
Communications-wise, Joe Rizzo, the executive director of the Flagler County Education Foundation, says they've done well.
But Flagler County is a one-to-one school technology. So every one of our kids in the district has their own device, which is an amazing, amazing thing. So when this COVID thing happened, it was not nearly as hard for us to correct because we didn't have kids that were not connectable. So our largest problem was connectivity to make sure we could get it to everywhere in the county.
Rizzo said that the foundation put out about 500 hotspots so that the students could connect to their devices and the schools could connect to their students. You can listen to the Flagler Voice on Saturday mornings at 8:30 on WNZF, or you can listen to the podcast on the Flagler Radio app. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.